Thank you all for kindly coming this evening and kindly participating in this program. I know we've all had a very tough, long day at work. I promise you two things. One, I wouldn't keep the class philosophical. And second, it won't be boring. Morning Bhagavatam classes, when everyone is fresh, it's time to go deep in Shastra. Siddhanta baliya chitte nakkar alas, iha hoite Krishna lage sudhrida manas. By reading and hearing the philosophical conclusions of the scriptures, the heart and the mind naturally gets attached to Krishna. But however, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us a very wonderful way. Please kindly chant. Samsara sindhum ati dustaramuttitirsho nanya-plava bhagavata purushottamस्य Leela katharasa nisevanam antarena pumsam bhaved vivida dukkha davardhitasya. The 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam says, philosophy is very important to strengthen our faith in Krishna consciousness. But only philosophy without the pastimes of Krishna will make the heart very hard. On the other hand, just pastimes without the philosophy makes one sentimental. Therefore, hearing the pastimes interweaved with philosophy is the right way to approach Krishna. Because the pastimes entertain the ear and the heart, bhavanti rid karana rasayanam katha, and at the same time the philosophy makes our conviction stronger. So this evening, the presentation is something which will have pastimes mainly, and it will have philosophy little by little interweaved into the presentation. I promise you the philosophy will be only 20% and the pastimes will be 80%. So just make sure that you are attentive and awake, because tonight is going to be a very wonderful topic. I think even the hosts don't know what the topic is. But the kids know what the topic is. Because the kids had requested me something in this line. And today, to fulfill their desire, I have to start with a quote from Srila Prabhupada. Can someone with a thunderous loud voice from the Prabhujis read this section of the purport from Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam?
Not only must they hear about the activities of the Lord, but they must also hear about the transcendental qualities of the devotees who are constantly thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. A pure devotee of the Lord cannot be separated from the lotus feet of the Lord for even a moment. Undoubtedly, the Lord is always within the hearts of all living creatures, but they hardly know about it because they are deluded by the illusory material energy. Devotees, however, realize the presence of the Lord, and therefore they can always see the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. Such pure devotees of the Lord are as glorious as the Lord. They are, in fact, recommended by the Lord as more worshipable than He Himself. Worship of the devotee is more potent than worship of the Lord.
Anyone with the Sanskrit reference of the worship of the pure devotee is more glorious than the worship of Krishna? Madhbhakta puja bhyadika. The Supreme Lord says, Madhbhakta, more than my worship, puja bhyadika. Adhika means more. It's more glorious to worship my pure devotees than worship me, says Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore this evening, we are taking our consciousness on a very wonderful, appreciative ride into the glorious life of a great saint. Srila Prabhupada touched millions and millions of lives. and of which the thousands and thousands of lives that he touched directly as disciples, all of them turned into moons. So much so that even 50 years into the movement, they continue to inspire and motivate the other millions that we are part of, who couldn't see Srila Prabhupada. And each of these moon-like disciples are radiating moonbeams which are soothing in the dark age of Kali. One out of these many moons from the army of Srila Prabhupada is Sripada Aindra Prabhu. How many of us have heard of Sripada Aindra Prabhu? How many of us have not heard of Sripada Aindra Prabhu? Okay, good to know. So, Sripada Aindra Prabhu appeared in this world in 1953, and he appeared in a province called Arlington in Virginia, United States of America. He was born as Edward Stryker in an American family, and he was born in a family of musicians. His father, his mother, his brother, John Prabhu, who's still there in the area of Washington, D.C., who looks like Aindra Prabhu. All of them are musicians. Some of them were into flute, some of them were into bass guitar, someone else was playing drums. And Edward Stryker, or Eddie Stryker, right from his childhood, was a musician. This is going to be such a wonderful story to note. How someone born in America, in an American family, which was God conscious in some ways, how he took a switch, a total turn, U-turn in life, and went against material life, and came out to be one of the greatest saints of modern times as far as chanting the holy names of Krishna. For those who have heard the kirtans of Aindra Prabhu, it's certainly matchless and priceless. Everyone does kirtan. We all do kirtan. But when Aindra Prabhu does kirtan, it is something else. So, what was his pre-Krishna conscious life like? I want to spend a few minutes explaining that. Our kids sitting here, when we had the kids class at Prabhupada's room in our Mahaprabhu Mandir, they were telling me, can we have a session where you can tell us about Aindra Prabhu? And I thought, anyway, this is a weekday evening, and we all are interested in hearing Krishna Katha. And at the same time, the kids are sitting ahead with so much enthusiasm and an aspiration to hear. So I thought of touching this topic. Edward Stryker, as he was growing up, it's described, he was part of the hippie culture. He had red copper beard and red hair, so long that he could sit on it. It's described. And he was always a person with a musical ear, since he came in a musical family. And that was the time not of the pen drives, not of the CDs, but of the floppies. You remember? So Aindra Prabhu would, or let's say, let me call him Edward Stryker, or Eddie Stryker, as his friends would know him. Eddie Stryker would go to different friends, musical friends, and he would, on the floppy, get the latest music and see what's the music that's, in market. And as he would do this, one fine day, as he was walking in Virginia, he saw a big, tumultuous Harinam Sankirtan party on the street. The loud chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And tumultuous kirtan, 250 devotees. He describes more than 20 mridangas, 16 pairs of kartals, reverberating in the air. Krishna's name is reverberating. And here was Eddie Stryker with a floppy in his hand to exchange music. And as he saw this whole tumultuous procession, he somehow got sucked into it. You know how devotees are. They welcome devotees with open arms. It's almost like a mafia. You come in on your own accord. Now once you come in, you know so much that you can't leave. You know? Imagine leaving the Krishna consciousness movement and saying, now I'm going to enjoy and going to watch television. All the verses pop up in the mind only at that time. In the Bhagavatam class, we don't remember. But when we sit to watch, let's say, enough of this Krishna consciousness, I'm going to watch movie. And you sit there. Matra sparsha. It doesn't let you enjoy. Till the time sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So he was curious to know all these big placards and banners. So he asked the devotees, what's happening? They said, first you get into this and then we will tell you. Come enter. And then he started chanting. And before he realized, the procession went to the temple. So he reached the temple. And he was trying to look into his pocket and he had lost the floppy. It fell on somewhere on the street and he didn't realize where it is. He went to the temple and he told all the devotees, okay, now I have to go. I don't know how I got into this, but I set out to meet my friends. They said, you've already come to the temple. Guess what? We are serving out pineapple halwa. You know, so why don't you participate? So he said, I have no clue what this is. They said, taste it. They gave him a taste. And Maha Prasade Govinde, Nama Brahmani Vaishnave, Svalpa Punya Vatam Rajan, Vishwasana Jayat. Eddie Stryker describes and recalls he had 3 plates of prasad. He had never had something so tasty. And he told the devotees, how do I contact you? You know, you seem to be good people. They said, yeah, we are very good people. They gave him a book. And the book was Beyond Birth and Death. You know that book where there's a skull and a lotus comes through the socket of the eye? They gave him that book. And it's described at that time he was about 18 years old. And he started reading the book. And the first page of that book, the first page, the first paragraph, the first line was, you are not this body but a spirit soul. Boom. He read this and he closed the book. Spirit soul? Which means I'm a ghost? You know, his conception of spirit means ghost and, you know, astral body and all of this. So he read this. He said, no, that's not correct. And he recalls at that time he was living with his girlfriend, then girlfriend. And somehow after he started making friendship with the devotees and tried to open the book a couple of more times, after which he would close it back again, he said his relationship started rocking. Akinchani kritya padashratamya karoti bhikshum patigeha hinam kenapyoho bhishana chaura idrik drishta shrutova na jagatrayepi. Sripad Bilva Mangala Thakur says, Krishna is a very big thief. You give him little time, 1 hour of your time, now he gets greedy for 2 hours of your time. Then you give him 2 hours of your day, he gets greedy for 3 hours. And then 4 hours, and before you realize, he is sucked in your mind. And all day you're blissfully serving him, reading about him and chanting his names. Started going to the temple regularly. And the devotee said, you're coming long distance every day like this. Why don't you just move into the temple? It's easy. You know, and you go out when you have to. He said, that's a good idea. Can I move into the temple just like that? I said, yeah, come in. Prabhupada built a house in which the whole world can live. So please come in. So wonderful. What are the rules, he asked. I said, nothing. Just move in. Take all your stuff and move in. So wonderful. He went and told his girlfriend, I am planning to move to the temple. So why don't you also come with me? We'll move into the temple. And this was too foreign for her. You know, she had no clue, no frame of reference, because he was reading, but she had no clue what's happening. And in one of the pages in that book, Beyond Birth and Death, Prabhupada had made a striking point which was going on in Eddie Stryker's mind. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. After a few days, the emotional distance between him and his girlfriend increased so much that at one point he said, either you come with me to the temple or I am going and you go your way, I go my way. You decide. And at that time she said something very shocking. She said, you can move into the temple? I haven't enjoyed you enough. That is something that she said at that point. And the sentence that I was mentioning a minute ago, that was striking in Eddie Stryker's mind, was Prabhupada's book speaking to him. Love in this world means lust. And lust means selfish gratification and not selfless service. Prabhupada said in that paragraph, relationships in this world are made and broken on the basis of mutual gratification of senses. And when this is not available, relationships are broken. And this was like the light coming from the book. And Eddie Stryker told her, this is exactly what Prabhupada said. And you're exemplifying this principle. You're like a two-legged animal. And this is too much for her. She said, what do you mean? He said, come sit, I'll read out the book to you. Yesham na vidya na tapo na danam jnanam na shilam na guno na dharma te mrityu loke nanubhara bhutaha manushya rupena mrigascharanti. Those who are devoid of spiritual principles are indeed sahitya sangeeta kalavihinaha sakshat pashu puchha vishanahinaha trinam nakhadam napi jivamanam tadbhagadeyam paramam pashunam. Those who are devoid of spiritual principles are a two-legged animal, but there are three differences. They don't eat grass, they don't have a tail, and they don't have horns. He explained all this to her. She said, okay, I think it's better you go your way. And Eddie Stryker decided to move into the temple, but the temple authorities said, we are a little crunched with place, so get as minimum things as possible so that you can stay. Don't get a bunch of stuff. Guess what he did? He took all his stuff, started walking on the street, giving it out to people. Not selling it, but giving it out. He gave out his instruments. The flute, the bass guitar, the drums, the accordion that he loved to play, and the music that he would collect, because that was not favorable in having place in the temple, he started giving it out. What level of surrender is this to start with? On the street, he starts going out, distributing the flute, and you take my drum, you take my accordion, you take my bass guitar. And in the interview, he says that somebody asked him, why are you giving this free? And Eddie Stryker said, this is the only thing that's coming between me and Krishna. So I thought of kicking it away. He gave it away. But then there was one thing he couldn't give it up. That was his pet cat. So he called up the temple and said, I've given up everything. I just have a pet cat. Can I get the cat? I can't give up my cat. They said, okay, move in with the cat. No problem. How many more years is the cat going to live anyway? Move in. So he picked up the cat and he moved into the temple. And then when he moved into the temple, a week later into the kitchen, the main temple kitchen, he saw one Mataji with prasadam in her hand, giving out of the window to the birds. And she said, hey you spirit souls, here is some prasad from Krishna for you. Please honor them and become human beings in your next life. He heard this. And he thought to himself, this Mataji is so exalted. She's able to see the birds as spirit souls. That I read, you're not this body but spirit soul. He went to that Mataji and offered obeisances. And he said, Mataji, you're able to see them as spirit soul. I'm not able to see them as spirit soul. She said, no problem. I am just calling out to them because they're spirit soul. I'm not able to see them as spirit soul. But still I'm offering prasadam so that they can elevate themselves to a human form. So he asked that Mataji, so my cat is also a spirit soul. Can I offer prasadam to my cat so that my cat can become a human in his next life or her next life? Mataji said, that's a good idea. Now the burden of that attachment came down because he thought, in the temple at least I can give prasadam. But he would pray to Krishna, Krishna, you've taken everything away from me. You've taken my family away, because anyway at the age of 18, they move out of the family. You took away my girlfriend, you took away the house because I moved into the temple. You took away my instruments. I came with 2 pairs of clothes because there's no place in the temple. And the cat that I have is the only one. If you take that cat also, you have taken everything away from me. So what are you waiting for? He would pray, whenever the right time is, according to you, O Krishna, please take my cat also away. And very soon after that, the cat left his or her body in the temple after having prasadam and hearing kirtan. Then, at that point, Eddie Stryker put on saffron and moved into the temple as a full-time brahmachari. Now, he made his presence in many places in America. Chicago temple. Of course, he was in Virginia. The historic Washington, D.C. temple. Prabhupada's Radha Govinda Brooklyn temple in New York. Has anyone been to the New York temple? Radha Govinda temple? So beautiful, right? In fact, Aindra Prabhu was Pujari there of Radha Govinda for some time. And at the same time, it's described in Washington, D.C. Aindra Prabhu would do what is called here. I hope everyone can see the slide out here. A lot of slides are going to keep coming. So just make sure that you find a spot where you can see what's happening. Aindra Prabhu in Washington, D.C. would perform what was the historic 16-hour street Sankirtan every single day. How many hours? 16 hours every single day. And how would he do it? It was very, very interesting. Very interesting. He got a $25,000 donation. And out of that, he purchased a flatbed truck. So you can see this is a truck. And he has cut open the back end of the truck. You see the front end is used for driving. And the back end, Aindra Prabhu had made a stage. And there he would have harmonium, mridanga and kartal, 3 devotees on that truck. And the driver would drive the truck and Aindra Prabhu would do kirtan moving around for 16 hours. And how did he get this idea? Initially he would stay at one place and do. But then the police, the cops would come and say, no, you can't have loud music for so long. So what did he start doing? He would do it in the parking lot. He started doing it at different places. But then the cops would come and say, you have to pay the parking ticket. You can't just keep standing with your car here all day. You have to pay. So Aindra Prabhu would keep paying to be there in the parking, to do kirtan, because a lot of people would come there. But then he got this idea. I have to pay only when I'm in one place. And they have sound regulation only in one place, if it's for a long time. Why not I take a truck and keep moving continuously all day? So which means I'm doing loud kirtan and it's in different parts of the city. Is everyone relishing what is the level of Naam propagation that Aindra Prabhu is thinking about? And it's described, looking at this program, Prabhupada wrote a personal letter to this Sankirtan team that I am very happy with your daily performance of 16 hours of street Sankirtan. And in that letter, Prabhupada said, keep doing this and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be very pleased. Now this was a green signal for Aindra Prabhu. It didn't end there. Moved to New York and went a couple of notches higher. Look at this. Look at this flatbed truck. Can everyone see? I would just request, if you're not able to see from your place, just somehow squeeze and try to see this picture. It's one of a kind. It's really one of a kind. Now I'll just quickly explain what this is. What we see here is the back end of a truck. Aindra Prabhu had remodeled the back end into a traveling temple. And on one side was the reincarnation model. On the front cover of Science of Self-Realization, going from an infant. Angam galitam palitam mundam dashana vihinaha jataha tundam vruddho yati grihitva dandam tadapi na munchati ashapindam. Adi Shankaracharya says, as age goes on, what happens? Angam galitam. The senses start melting. And palitam mundam. We had a different tune for that. Because there's an open ground, a cricket stadium here. No need of combing. You don't have to worry how far your tilak will stop. It can keep going. No need of shampoo. Doesn't stop there. Dashana vihinaha jataha tundam. We start with 3 cricket teams. 11 times 3 is 33 into our mouth. And as we age, it's gully cricket with 6 on each side. And vruddho yati grihitva dandam. We walk with 2 legs while we are young, and as we get old, we need the 3rd one, the walking stick. Everything reduces, but one thing doesn't reduce, says Adi Shankaracharya. Tadapi na munchati ashapindam. The pot of material desires is always full. That doesn't reduce. So that front cover of Science of Self-Realization on one side. And then Aindra Prabhu would have deities on the other. And then in the middle, he would have nice devotees sitting and doing kirtan and books and prasadam to be distributed. And the front side, you see, just can you see towards the end of the picture, you see the wheels of that truck? So that's the minimum portion that you need to drive the vehicle. He cut everything and remodeled it. So imagine Aindra Prabhu made this as a traveling temple, where people on the streets could take darshan of the deities. Radha Govinda were moving on the streets of New York for 16 hours a day. And just tumultuous kirtan, day after day after day. And this just went from strength to strength. But when Aindra Prabhu was asked, what was your inspiration for starting 16 hours of street sankirtan? Because we also join Krishna consciousness movement, but we don't do 16 hours of kirtan. What was your inspiration? And Aindra Prabhu gave a very beautiful answer. He said when Prabhupada one day was coming down from his room to take darshan of the deities in the temple, as he was coming down, they wanted arrival kirtan to take Prabhupada towards the deities. And there was not many devotees. So they took the mridanga and pushed it in Aindra Prabhu's hand and said, you sing and play the mridanga and welcome Prabhupada as he comes down. Now, Aindra Prabhu had not played the mridanga. It was just like some basic beat. So he started singing the traditional Prabhupada melody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Even last year in our Mumbai temple, one devotee came, one newcomer came, and he took the Bhagavad Gita, etc. And then he asked, can I get that chanting tape? I said, which tape? He said, there's a very beautiful tape. Just one melody keeps going on and it's so beautiful. It's a newcomer, by the way. And then they played different types, they played all the present day kirtan. He said, no. Something very different. Very different. And then they played Prabhupada. He said, yes, this one. And then he took that CD of Prabhupada, and then 6 months later he came back and was telling the devotees that now I'm hearing to Prabhupada's Shat Goswami Ashtakam, which is historic. One of my personal favorites too. So when Prabhupada was coming down, Aindra Prabhu was singing this melody with the mridanga. And Aindra Prabhu describes, when he was playing and singing, very few devotees around, Prabhupada was walking, and at one point, in a very regal, royal Bengali style, he hung his head. And he looked at Aindra Prabhu and he said, Jai. And Aindra Prabhu took that Jai. And that was the only interaction he had with his spiritual master in his whole life. So sometimes we are craving and dying. I don't get personal association. I don't get personal association. But all the great examples that we see, they have worked on Vani. His Holiness Niranjan Maharaj also, same example. Now Sripad Aindra Prabhu. Only interaction with Prabhupada, one Jai. That's all. And Aindra Prabhu wrote a whole purport to that Jai. He said, it was not just a Jai for that arrival Kirtan, it was the Jai of my spiritual master for my performance of the Yuga Dharma. It was a Jai for me singing the holy name that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got. And if by doing that for 5 minutes I get one Jai, how many more Jais and smiles from my spiritual master am I awaiting if I do this for hours and hours together? And Aindra Prabhu said at that time every temple would go out every day. Most devotees now, we live outside as grihasthas and try to support the temple. But then the culture was, if you become a devotee, you move into the temple. Every Krishna conscious devotee moves into the temple. Grihasthas also live in the temple. So the tradition then was, every temple would go out for 15, 16 hours of Harinam Sankirtan. They would sometimes even lock the temple. One pujari in, taking care, rest all the devotees out. Aindra Prabhu said, even in small temples with only 20 devotees, 18 would be out and 2 would be managing the temple. One pujari and one administration, that's all. 18 would be out doing street sankirtan and book distribution. He said that's how Hare Krishna became a household name. That was the culture. Everyone, every day, Harinam Sankirtan, the legacy of Vishnu Jan Swami, chanting every day with bleeding hands on that mridanga. So Aindra Prabhu came up with this very, very unique way of preaching, and even till this very day, New Yorkers remember. When I was in New York City just a couple of months ago, one devotee was telling me, I was there with Aindra on that bus. Prabhupada disciple. He said, I was there with him. And he said, if I spaced out in Kirtan, he would tell me, what are you doing? You have got this human form to chant the holy name. Please help me. And he was so intense like that. But interestingly, this continued for many years. But interestingly, what happened was, during Prabhupada's time itself, Aindra Prabhu had an increasing desire to visit India. Like most Prabhupada disciples had, I have to go to India. Praghosh Prabhu explains that when he was thinking of Guru, he thought, I have to go to India to find one. Little did he know that in a month, the greatest Guru was coming to his city to initiate him. So they all thought spiritual elevation means India. We see even His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj in the journey home, hitchhiking, coming to India. When the American country mother meets the Indian mother, as Radhanath Maharaj says. It was the union of the two mothers in his life. So Aindra Prabhu always wanted to go to India, but it never happened. How did it happen? Here is the interesting thing. 1986 was the 500th appearance year of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in 1486. So 500 years later was 1986. And this was a big festival in Mayapur for Gaur Purnima. So all the devotees from America were flying into Mayapur to go and see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, appearance festival to observe this. So Aindra Prabhu decided, I will also go. And he left America to come to Mayapur. No intention to go to Vrindavan. That was not his intention. His intention was to go to Mayapur. But then when he went to Mayapur, devotees said, look, you have come from America to Mayapur. Why not visit Vrindavan also? And by then, as we know, he was Prabhupada's disciple and he was Brahmanically initiated. On Nityanand Trayodashi, in 1974, at the age of 21, Aindra Prabhu received his Diksha from Srila Prabhupada. So he was already 12 years initiated, Brahmin initiated. So he was also Pujari, and even in Mayapur he was the Pujari for some time when he visited. So the devotees said, since you've already visited, why not go even to Vrindavan and take darshan? So Sripad Aindra Prabhu in 1986, as the slide describes, he moved to Braja, the land of Vrindavan. Bolo Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. He came to Vrindavan. And mind you, this was not with any intention. Aindra Prabhu just visited Vrindavan. Something very interesting and life-changing happened then. Now the story is going to pick up. The phase 2 of Aindra Prabhu's life, of Aindra Prabhu in Vrindavan. As he came to Vrindavan, something very, very fascinating and mystical happened to him. You see, Prabhupada started a 24-hour kirtan in Krishna Balram Mandir, ISKCON Vrindavan. And this was in 1975. Prabhupada started a 24-hour kirtan, meaning in the temple hall there will be 24 hours of kirtan. All day, all afternoon, all evening, all night, all summer, all winter, all of monsoon, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, year after year. This was Prabhupada's mammoth planning. He wanted like no stoppage of the holy name in the courtyard of the temple. So as this kirtan would go on, it went on till 1977 when Prabhupada departed from this world. Everything went on perfectly. But after that, devotees started to slacken in their service. When Prabhupada was on the planet, they had a nice plan how devotees would chant every hour. But when Prabhupada departed, the taste came down. That 24 hours became 18 hours a day, became 16 hours a day, became 14 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and finally stopped. No kirtan, absolutely. Then they woke up to reality. Prabhupada wanted a 24-hour kirtan. What to do? Devotees have no taste. So they started paying classical singers to come and do kirtan. So imagine those petiwalas, those who would just sing for money. They would come into the temple, do their duty for an hour, get their bucks and leave. This is what was happening just to keep Prabhupada's 24-hour kirtan. And this continued till 1986. So when Aindra Prabhu came to Vrindavan, one very senior Gaudiya Vaishnav came to Aindra Prabhu. And he was crying. By the way, is everyone in the story? Who's crying? One senior Gaudiya Vaishnav. One senior Gaudiya Vaishnav was crying. He came to Aindra Prabhu. Aindra Prabhu said, "Why are you crying?" He told Aindra Prabhu, "Prabhupada came in my dream and he was crying. Prabhupada came in my dream and he said, I started the 24-hour kirtan, but devotees are so lazy, they don't want to do it, and now they're selling the kirtan. Just to keep the 24-hour kirtan going, they're paying money to these classical Shastriya Sangeet wala." Prabhupada came in the dream weeping to this devotee and said, "I don't know what to do. I don't like this." So he woke up from this dream, this Gaudiya Vaishnava, and he came to Aindra Prabhu crying. He said, "This is the dream that I got." And this became so emotional a conversation that even Aindra Prabhu was weeping, choking, understanding Prabhupada's mood in that dream. At the end of that conversation, Aindra Prabhu sat under a tree in Vrindavan and started thinking, Prabhupada had this dream, which is not fulfilled. And he's coming in the dream of this Gaudiya Vaishnava. And this Gaudiya Vaishnava could have gone to anyone and said and expressed his heart. He came to me. And I'm a musician. And I've been doing this in New York, all by myself. Prabhupada, this Aindra Das promises you, I will reinstate your 24-hour kirtan with integrity. You know what he did? You know what he did to freeze his commitment? He took his American passport and threw it into the Yamuna. Now ask an Indian in America, He goes through 5 years of F1, student visa. Then he goes through 3 years of OPT, operational practice training. And then he goes through 12 to 15 years of H1B. And then he gets into green card. And 4 years and 9 months into the green card, he becomes a citizen. And then you apply and get your passport. Aindra Prabhu takes his American passport and flings it into the Yamuna, telling Yamuna Devi, without a passport I can't return. I surrender my passport to you. Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes for those who can see. He was always like this, very intense. Very, very intense. Uncompromising, undeviated. Absolutely, 100%. And I'll give you a few pastimes showing that mood. 1986, Aindra Prabhu, on the day of Ram Vijayotsava, what is it also called as? Not Ram Navami. Dasera, yes. The day when Ramachandra defeated Ravana. On that day it's described, if you start a new endeavor, you will be victorious. On Dasera, 1986, to be victorious, Aindra Prabhu started the 24-hour kirtan all by himself. He asked the temple management to take all the Shastriya Sangeetwala out. And he started singing 24 hours of kirtan by himself, please. Can we imagine? We can't even imagine chanting japa for 90 minutes a day. Chanting 16 rounds a day, we think it's a very big thing, and if you're doing it for some time, I'm a senior devotee. Prabhujis and Matajis, this is real serious business here. It's really getting into a microwave oven and staying there for 10 minutes. Not putting on those 10 seconds and coming out. It's real serious business. He started 24-hour kirtan all by himself. Now the question is, how would he do it? You know, when Aindra Prabhu had to go to the restroom, he had to pass water, he had to add prasadam, he had to do all the basic necessities. The devotees who would come to the temple to take darshan, he would request them, can you sit here and keep chanting for 10 minutes, I'll have prasadam and I'll come. Rickshawalas, they would come for darshan. And Aindra Prabhu in broken Hindi, he would say, 10 minute chanting, japa, naam, 10 minute. Baitho, 10 minute. He would speak in broken Hindi. And they would say, theek hai, Radhe Radhe, and then he would go. And then he would finish his prasadam and come back running. Go running and come running. Because he didn't want to miss a single minute of kirtan. And at night, the chokidar in Krishna Balaram Mandir, the watchman, he describes, 2 o'clock when I wake up sometimes, because chokidars, they sleep sometimes, or most of the times, they're sleeping. Sometimes they take their kati and they're walking. Jagte raho. They'll make one round and then go to sleep. So the chokidar of Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, ISKCON, he recalls, he said 2 o'clock sometimes when I would wake up from my sleep, I would see the whole city of Vrindavan sleeping, the whole village of Vrindavan sleeping. Even the brahmacharya ashram, everyone is sleeping. Everything is dark except the voice coming from the temple courtyard. Curtains are closed, deities are sleeping, but this is a 24-hour kirtan. It must continue all day and all night. Matajis and Prabhujis, there is no CCTV camera. He didn't have to do it. He could have just said, well, I'm going back to America. Things are easy. I just set it up there. Akhand Kirtan. I'll just set it up there. It's easy. But disciple means discipline. And discipline means getting out of our comfort zone for the pleasure of the spiritual master. No one ever achieved anything in his comfort zone. It's only when we come out to please the spiritual master according to his desire, not according to our desire. And Aindra Prabhu took it up. And with time, he got one more help. One devotee called Nitai Prabhu, he also started doing kirtan. So they would take it up 12 hours. between the two of them. And sometimes Nitai Prabhu would fall sick again 24 hours on Aindra Prabhu. Sometimes Aindra Prabhu would fall sick and Nitai Prabhu would take it over. And this is how he would do kirtan every single day. And please, the point to be noted by all of us is now Vrindavan is amazing. So many people in there, Chatikara Marg is, because of Prem Mandir, so many people around with all the lights at night, Chatikara Marg is filled with cars coming in from Delhi and Agra and Noida, Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, all these people coming in for sightseeing. The cars filled, so many people around. It's busy. You can walk out, there is Giriraj Bhandar Wala, sweet fellow. You get nice kachoris and samosas and whatnot. Doing Giriraj Parikrama, you can stop there and eat some cham-cham and go. Vrindavan has developed so much. It's a forest of buildings now. All these big buildings coming up. So many people. And you have pure water, you have air conditioner, you have everything now. We are talking about 1986, when people didn't go to Vrindavan. Before Prabhupada gifted Vrindavan to the world, how many people knew about Vrindavan? How many people went to Vrindavan? When Prabhupada gifted Vrindavan to the world, now you see the whole world is in Vrindavan. The Brajvasis say this. आपके स्वामी महाराज ने किया ये सब 20 साल पहले भी ब्रज ऐसे नहीं था. They would say that, Even 30 years ago, Braj was not like this. But your Swami Prabhupada has done this. He has fit the whole world into Vrindavan, especially in Kartik. The whole ISKCON is in Vrindavan, doing Braj Mandal. So 1986, there was nothing. It's described when the temperatures would go to 120 Fahrenheit sometimes. On a summer afternoon, Aindra Prabhu didn't even have a ceiling fan. He didn't have an air conditioner. He was living in the Brahmachari ashram. He would get prickly heat every single year. He would get heat boils all over his body. He would get conjunctivitis every year. There's not a single disease that he has not got. No pure water. Absolutely no drinking water. You have to walk and pump to get the water. Now you have like distilled, purified water outside the room in the Brahmachari ashram. You can just come and press and fill your bottle and go at night. But 1986, it wasn't like that. And winter nights are severe. 120 Fahrenheit in the summer and it drops down to 30 Fahrenheit. Sometimes 20 Fahrenheit. How much does that come in Celsius? Let's say about 50 Celsius in summer and about 2 or 3 Celsius in the winter. Celsius. So that cold. And he lived there. Look at him. Look at those eyes. He was always like a lion chasing for his prey. That picture right there is a very famous picture of Aindra Prabhu taking darshan. On a Kartik evening, Kartik Mass evening, Aindra Prabhu came to take darshan of the deities. Look at those eyes. They are bloodshot. Prabhus and Matajis, this is devotion. This is Ananyaschinta Yanto Mam. This is Anyabhilashita Shunyam. This is Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam. This is Ahaituki Apratihata. In all definitions of bhakti, this is what it is. How attached was he to Vrindavan Dham? Oh, this is a different chapter altogether. When Aindra Prabhu lived in Vrindavan, his attachment to the Dham was unparalleled. You see, Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the section of symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, he gives 9 symptoms of someone who's at the level of Bhav, exalted, ecstatic emotions for Krishna. And one of those 9 symptoms is Pritistad Vasati Sthale, deep attachment to live in the holy Dham of the Lord. How many of us can move to Vrindavan and live there? We would say, well, mera ghar yahan hai. I'll go for a week or two in the month of Kartik. I'll have darshan of Baki Bihari, Radha Damodar. Everything is very wonderful. Offer ghee lamp, pray for everyone. Take a list, dip in Radha Kund and come back. But at the end of the day, I want to come back. The birds do all their shopping during the day, but at night they want to come back to their nest. The point is, where do we think our nest is? What is our nest? Where is our comfort zone? Aindra Prabhu lived in Vrindavan with so much determination. He had so much love for the Dham. I'll give you a few pastimes, quick pastimes about his love for the Dham. Even if someone invited him to Delhi, that is 3 hours away, for Kirtan, he would not go. He would never leave Vrindavan. If someone in Delhi invites him for Kirtan, Aindra Prabhu would say, can you give me in writing that if I leave Vrindavan and something happens to me on the way, if I die, you will petition Radharani to take me back home, back to God, and will you give me in writing? And then no one wants to take that risk. The host would say, Prabhu, we can't do that. Aindra Prabhu said, then I can't leave the Dham. Because it is described, anyone who leaves his body in Vrindavan never enters another mother's womb. And Aindra Prabhu would say, I don't know when I'm going to die, and I'm not going to leave Vrindavan at any cost. I'm never going to do it. Never. Aindra Prabhu had piles. And the doctor for piles was, I think, in Ghaziabad or somewhere outside Braj. So the devotees told Aindra Prabhu, let's go there. He can treat, and he's a very good doctor, and then we'll come back to Braj. He said, impossible. Aindra Prabhu said, it's better to die in pain with piles in Vrindavan than to be free of piles outside. I don't want to. That doctor was so touched by the Dham Nishtha of Aindra Prabhu that he made those medicines and mailed it. He sent it. He sent a post to Aindra Prabhu's room in the Krishna Balram Mandir Brahmacharya Ashram, because he said, I never do this, but I know how great a sadhu you are that you don't want to leave the Dham. I send it for you as service. This was Aindra Prabhu. As a musician, all of his albums were named after Vrindavan. Vrindavan Mellows, Prayers to the Dust of Vraja, Vraja Vilas, everything, Vraja, 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 Vraja. And his recordings of these albums would also happen in Vrindavan amidst all the electricity power cuts. Devotees would tell him, let's go to Delhi, they have very good studios. You can cut all these tracks really quick like this in half a year. Let's, in half a week, we can get it done really quick. Sing all the tracks one after another in the studio in Delhi. Aindra Prabhu said, I'm never going to go to Delhi. And Aindra, please forgive me, anyone from Delhi here? Please don't take personal offense. Aindra Prabhu used to say, Delhi? It's not Delhi, it's helly, smelly Delhi. He would say, it's filled with pollution. I'm not going to go there. And he said, anything outside Vrindavan is material world. I don't want to leave. He said, I'm going to go to Delhi to sing Vraja Vilas, Vrindavan Mellows, Prayers to the Dust of Vraja in Delhi? Impossible. And you will not believe. He would sing a track almost, and there would be a power cut. And then you had to sing it all over again in Vrindavan. And one of these albums took 6 months to record, and he was determined to just stay in Braj. He didn't leave. And some of those tracks, if you have heard, you can hear in the background, Hari Gopal ka Vrindavan, Hari Gopal ka Vrindavan, 5 rupaye mein Vrindavan, Aiye Vrindavan, Vrindavan. You can hear all this in the background, Those are those cycle rickshawalas in Braj. And he would go and tape all of that to give the feel of Vrindavan to those who are hearing the tracks. And in one of those tracks, there was a Mataji outside Radha Gokulananda, Radha Raman. And the same gully, you see Radha Gokulananda. So there is a hand pump, just outside Radha Gokulanandeshwar, Vankhandeshwar Mahadev, So there was a Mataji she's trying to get some water out. And as she's doing it, she's saying, Radhe Sham, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. And Aindra Prabhu was standing behind, recording. And she looked at that and she got shy. And Aindra Prabhu said, Radha Nam, Radha Nam. And she continued. And that's part of the album. Like, before Aindra Prabhu was singing, you can hear all that. And you can hear, oh. You can hear that. And none of these sounds are studio tweaking. All natural sounds. You will not believe to what extent he would go to give Vrindavan to the world. At 2 o'clock at night, he would sit in the groves of Vrindavan where you could hear, different cricket sounds and insect sounds. And early in the morning, you could hear the peacock sound and the bird song. Sometimes he could hear the, coo. And he would record all of that, sitting behind, hiding behind trees, and somehow merge that in his singing. So when you hear these tracks of Aindra Prabhu, the albums, you can hear Aindra Prabhu singing, and behind you can hear the peacocks and you can hear the cows. And his mood was, those who are hearing these tracks outside of Vrindavan, they should be transported to Vrindavan by hearing these tracks. He would get angry when anyone leaves Vrindavan, by the way. And one of his associates once came to Aindra Prabhu and he bowed down and he said, Aindra Prabhu, please offer me your blessings. I got a job in Malaysia. So please give me your blessings that I have to leave the Dham and go to Malaysia. And Aindra Prabhu got wild. He looked at him and said, Malaysia? Why do you want to go to Malaysia? Why do you want to leave Braja? He said, but Aindra Prabhu, money. Aindra Prabhu got up and he said, you think Radharani will not fulfill all your desires? You nasty one. You are doubting the giving capability of my Lord? It's you who's a rascal. You have so many desires that you are yourself convinced that even my Lord can give me so much. Aindra Prabhu said, even the dogs and the monkeys and the pigs in Vrindavan get their roti. And then he went on. He was so heavy, 2-3 hours pounding on his head. He said, if I come to your house and if I start crying, won't you leave your work and come to me and ask, what happened, Prabhu? Why are you crying? Yes, Prabhu, I will do that. Aindra Prabhu said, Vrindavan is Radharani's house. If you sit here, chant the names of Krishna and cry, you think Radharani will not come and ask you what you want? You have more compassion than Radharani? Radharani can fulfill everything. It's just that you don't have faith. Don't go to Malaysia. Stay here. And he didn't go. He gave up his job, lived in Braj, and then he could maintain himself. Aindra Prabhu said, no, don't leave. And then he had he would have calculations also, multiplicity factors. Aindra Prabhu would say, according to the Hari Bhakti Vilas, when you chant one round in Vrindavan, you get 1 billion times the benefit of chanting one round outside. He would say, therefore, Prabhupada said, Je tumhara sharana loy tara vancha purna hoy kripa kori koro tare Vrindavana vasi. Oh, Tulasi, make me Vrindavan vasi. And Aindra Prabhu would even teach Bhagavad Gita from Vrindavan. Like, for example, he would say, what is Krishna saying? Sarva dharman parityajya. He would say, Mam ekam sharanam vraja. He would say, what is Krishna saying? Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Take shelter of me in Vraja. He would give his purport. That's not what Krishna said anyway, but that was Aindra Prabhu's bhavartha. So much attachment to Vrindavan. Even when Aindra Prabhu would honor prasadam, there was one person who would read Vrindavan Mahimamrita to him. A very wonderful book by Prabodhananda Saraswati, glorifying Vrindavan Dham. And there it is described. One of the verses are, "O fool, don't you know even infants sometimes die after birth? How do you know when you're going to die? Don't listen to the mind, run to Vrindavan and never return." That's one of the verses in Vrindavan Mahimamrita. And Aindra Prabhu would say, that's it. This is it. This is what everyone should know. Another time, Dhamnishta, again another Dhamnishta story. One time, as Aindra Prabhu was invited to go to one of the jail for Kirtan, and it was outside Vrindavan. And Aindra Prabhu said, I'm not coming, I'm not leaving Braja. They said, but Aindra Prabhu, they are prisoners in the jail. If you come and do Kirtan, they will get uplifted. So he agreed. And he was going in the car. And guess what? In that car from Vrindavan, there was a mosquito in the car. You know? And Aindra Prabhu was just chanting peacefully. When they were almost about to leave Vrindavan, in the outskirts, he put his glass pane down and let the mosquito out. So the driver said, the mosquito was troubling, right? Aindra Prabhu got angry. He said, that's a Brajbasi. That mosquito was born in Vrindavan, is an associate of Radharani. How dare you say that it's disturbing? So he said, but Prabhu, you put the glass pane down to put the mosquito out. He said, oh, that's it. That's for a different reason. That mosquito was born in Vrindavan, lives in Vrindavan. Now our car is going outside Vrindavan. If I take him outside Vrindavan, he doesn't have the power to fly back to Vrindavan, which means he will die outside Vrindavan. While he could have died in Vrindavan, it's because of me that he will die outside Vrindavan. Therefore, before we leave the outskirts of Vrindavan, I pull the window pane down so that the mosquito can die in Vrindavan and get his spiritual form in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Is everyone on the same page? Are you feeling the emotion? This is Sripad Aindra Prabhu.
Strong conviction.
100%. Prabhu, you can't imagine. This was his room. Look at this. Everyone please have a look. Aindra Prabhu lived in that room for 24 years in his life. Aindra Prabhu lived in this tiny room for 24 years in his life. This is room number 89 of the Brahmacharya Ashram in ISKCON Gurukul, the Gurukul building, the Brahmacharya Ashram building. Room number 89. You climb up the stairs and you take a left, then you take a right, and that's Aindra Prabhu's room right there. He lived in that room for 24 years. Now guess what? This is the top floor in that ashram. So when it gets hot to 50 degrees Celsius and you don't have a ceiling fan, this being on the top floor, we all can imagine what the heat would be. And Aindra Prabhu describes when he would place his forehead on his hand, because of the heat, automatically there would be a pillow of sweat. Every year prickly heat. Every year. He got malaria, he got typhoid, he got cholera, he got everything possible. But continued. Aindra Prabhu had sinus attacks. You will not believe, because of the weather change, sometimes he would bleed urine. Or let's say, when he would urinate, he would bleed. But he never gave up the dham. He never left the dham. Never. I can go on saying so many such pastimes. It's unbelievable. Okay, here's an interesting thing. For all of us as sadhakas, now the story that I'm going to tell you, it may be very heavy. It may shake you, but just take it. Because Guru means weight, heavy. Vajradapi kathoram kusumadapi sukomalam. Softer than a lotus, harder than a thunderbolt. Here's the story, reloaded, 100% truth without fabrication, right here. One devotee from Delhi came to Vrindavan. Aindra Prabhu said, you came to Vrindavan? Yes, Prabhuji. How long? Said 1 week. Huh? Only 1 week? Why do you even have to go? Just live in Braj. Now listen to this person. Prabhu, when Radharani showers her mercy, I will live in Vrindavan. Now that's a very wrong thing to tell him. That's like touching the most sensitive nerve in his body. Radharani was Aindra Prabhu's Praneshwari. You see on that altar, you will not see a Krishna deity. There's a Radharani deity right there. You see? I'm coming to his deity worship in a few minutes. He came and told Aindra Prabhu, actually when Radharani showers her mercy, I will move to Vrindavan. And he had a house in Vrindavan, by the way. He had a house in Vrindavan. And he said, Prabhu, I'm in Delhi, I have to go back. When Radharani showers her mercy, I will come to Vrindavan. Now, if you see that beard in the previous slide that I was showing you, that's a red copper beard, right? So, Aindra Prabhu used to spit fire as far as anger is concerned, so you don't want to mess up with him. In a good way. He will never get angry when he's criticized, but he would get angry when we don't prioritize our spiritual life enough. Aindra Prabhu said, you have a house in Vrindavan, and you are saying Radharani is not showering her mercy on you? He said, you know who you are? You are nonsense. You are living outside Vrindavan. Not because Radharani has not showered her mercy, but because you have a lot of material desires. And you want to enjoy your senses. And that's why you want to live in Delhi. You don't want to live in Braj. He said, Prabhu, I'll come. He said, what come? Radharani gave you a piece of her body. Vrindavan is her body. She gave you a piece of tract of land. And you can live here and you're blaming Radharani for this? He said, you know what you should do as Prayashchitta? On a cardboard, you have to write, Radharani gave a piece of land on Vrindavan for me, but I am such a big nonsense that I still want to live in Delhi to fulfill my material desires, and when asked, I will blame Radharani for not showering mercy and will never speak up that it's my mistake. And you should wear that around your neck and walk in Vrindavan as Prayashchitta. This is how much he was Dhamnishta. And I can't blame him. Rupa Goswami says, the 9th symptom of someone at the level of bhav, pure emotions for Krishna, is priti stad vasati sthale, deep attachment to the Dham. And Aindra Prabhu is just radiating that symptom. Another example. Now this is very beautiful. Another devotee from Delhi came to Vrindavan. Aindra Prabhu said, so how long? So by now you're already laughing because you're guessing what's coming up. So how long? He said, Prabhu, 2 weeks. Aindra Prabhu said, okay. What service are you doing in Delhi? He said, Prabhu, I'm a book distributor, I'm a preacher, etc., etc. Oh, nice. Okay. So, what got you to Vrindavan for 2 weeks? Now listen to what he said. He said, Prabhu, because of my preaching, I couldn't chant my 16 rounds for many days. So when I came and told my spiritual master that I'm failing in my vow of chanting and keeping up my count, he very mercifully told me, 2 weeks you go to Vrindavan, chant because Vrindavan gives so many times the benefit, and then you finish your quota and come back. Aindra Prabhu said, very good proposal to come here and chant. But Prabhu, can I tell you something? By chanting 2 weeks, you can catch up on the count, but you cannot overcome your offense of disobeying your spiritual master, of breaking the vrat of daily 16 rounds. What does that mean? If you miss chanting for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, you can catch up by chanting 64 rounds. So the count is done. But Aindra Prabhu said, but for 4 days, you've broken your promise of chanting 16 rounds, and that is Guru Aparad, Guru Ravagya. How are you going to overcome that? He said, Prabhu, I don't know how to do it. Aindra Prabhu said, there's only one Prayashchitta in Shastra for that. Come to Vrindavan and never return. Out of the 64 limbs of bhakti, one limb out of the top 5 out of the 64, Panchanga Bhakti, is Dhamvas, Mathuravas, to live in the Dham. Aindra Prabhu lived in Vrindavan for 24 years without moving. Somebody came and asked Aindra Prabhu, Prabhu, how are you? What would we say? Fine, thank you. How about you? You know what Aindra Prabhu said? Now listen to his answer. Prabhu, how are you? Aindra Prabhu said, philosophically speaking, how I am, philosophically speaking, I am Satchitananda. But as far as body is concerned, it is it's dull and dead matter. But however, Aindra Prabhu continued, the scientists describe every 7 years all the atoms in the body change. I have been living in Vrindavan for 21 years, which means 3 times, 7 times 3. 3 times the atoms in my body have been changed with the dust of Braj, which means spiritually I am transcendental as soul, and even as far as body is concerned, I am transcendental. So therefore the answer is yes, I am transcendental. Dham Nishta, even in how are you? He was breathing this. Acha. Aindra Prabhu heard, if you sleep on the banks of the Yamuna, on the dust of Yamuna, on the banks of Yamuna, then you will get Krishna. Aindra Prabhu read this somewhere. So now you can go and sleep on the dust of the banks of Yamuna. So guess what he did? He went with gunny sack, filled up dust from the banks of Yamuna, and came to his room and sprinkled it on the floor, and he would sleep on top of that. Aindra Prabhu said, anything that takes me to Krishna, I embrace it without a second thought. And anything that takes me away from Krishna, I kick it without a second thought. This is another beautiful picture of Aindra Prabhu's deities. Do we all see? Beautiful deities? The whole room is made out of cow dung and cow urine. You can see here, look behind. Do you see all the markings there? All the decorations? Aindra Prabhu was an expert artist. He was ambidextrous, by the way. He could write with one and draw with the other at the same time. Very talented. Very, very talented. The whole room is made out of cow dung and cow urine with the dust of Braj and water. And Aindra Prabhu knew if you make cow dung, if you keep it, if you mix it with so much dust of Braj and with little water, what would be the color that would come out after how many days? And accordingly, he would use it for his artistic work. Just above the altar, do you see on that wall, there is a honeycomb he has made. The Matajis, can you see? And do you see some honey bees around the comb? Aindra Prabhu would say, that comb is Krishna Prem, and I am aspiring to be one of those honeybees. What is the price to get Krishna? Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kiyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Koti Janma Sukritirna Labhyate. The only price to get Krishna is intense greed which he had. Dhanurdhar Maharaj explains. One night at 2 o'clock, Aindra Prabhu came knocking at Dhanurdhar Maharaj's room. And Dhanurdhar Maharaj woke up from sleep. I said, Aindra, what happened? And he's weeping. He embraced Dhanurdhar Maharaj and he told Dhanurdhar Maharaj, how many more lifetimes will I have to wait before I see Krishna? And Dhanurdhar Maharaj had no frame of reference. He was sleeping. He told Aindra Prabhu, what happened? Can you explain? Aindra Prabhu was weeping, embracing Dhanurdhar Maharaj. He said, 2 o'clock at night. He said, Maharaj, how many more lifetimes will I have to wait before I see Krishna? Eye to eye, cheek to cheek, chin to chin. I want him, that's all. Dhanurdhar Maharaj explains, I had no frame of reference where Aindra Prabhu was coming from. Now these 2 deities, their names are Nitai Shachi Sutta. Nitai Shachi Sutta ki Jai. Aindra Prabhu loved them so much. Personal deities, by the way. Now we come from his Dham Nishtha, we come to his deity worship. Please note, out of the 700 pastimes that I have here, I am going to tell you only a few, because we don't have time. As far as Dham is concerned, there are another 100 pastimes. But we'll switch topics and come to his deity worship. Excellent pujari. Excellent. Aindra Prabhu didn't have 1, not 2, not 3. Aindra Prabhu daily worshipped 3,000 Shaligram Shilas. How many? He had 3,000 Shaligram Shilas, 33 other deities. Giriraj Shila, Little Chota Gaur Nitai, Chota Radha Krishna, Chota Prabhupada, Chota Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur deities, all of that inside that altar. And 11 baskets of more than 250 Shilas in each basket. 11 such baskets. And Aindra Prabhu would bathe them, massage them with oil, and offer tulsi to each of these Shilas every single day. And apart from that, he had his Nitai Shachi Sutta. So when the Twin Towers were put down in America, when the Twin Towers were put down by terrorist attack, Aindra Prabhu was in Vrindavan. And everyone was talking about Twin Towers, Twin Tower attack, Twin Tower attack, Twin Tower attack. Hare Baba, sambal ke. Kalti se pair verna lag jaye. Sambalo. Good. So Aindra Prabhu was in Braj, and everyone around would say, Aindra Prabhu, Twin Tower attack, terrorist attack, Twin Tower attack. And at one point Aindra Prabhu closed his eyes and he said, I wish that day doesn't come when some terrorist attacks the Twin Tower of my life. My God Nitai. So Aindra Prabhu considered his Nitai Shachi Sutta as his Twin Tower. And how much he cared for them. I'll tell you Aindra Prabhu's schedule. Please hear this with an open heart. Daily schedule. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur has one. Now this is Aindra Prabhu's daily schedule. I heard from one associate, and this was the time when he was living in the ashram, so it may have changed, but this is during that time. Aindra Prabhu chanted 116 rounds of japa every day. Vrishni Vamsha Prabhu likes it. Aindra Prabhu would chant 8 times 16 rounds a day. Let's put it like that. And how do? We are doing like 13th round. Or let's be realistic. It's about 9 o'clock at night and we look at our counter beads and it's 3 done, 13 to go. And then we start chanting, 45 minutes done, only 3 rounds done. What is this? Frustrating. I've been chanting but ho nahi raha hai. We're not able to do it. Acha. Now, when we're chanting 14th round, Brahma Bhuta Prasannat. It's about 10:45 at night. 15th round, we are adjusting our bed, our pillow, comforter, ek haath se, One hand into the bead bag, another hand chal raha hai. It's fascinating. After we joined ISKCON, most of us have become lefties. We can drive with the left, we can cook with the left. We can do everything with the left. And by the way, let's not underestimate the power of the index finger that comes out. Innumerable text messages over WhatsApp are being exchanged every day by the power of this finger. Krishna, Krishna. Oh my God. So that is our level of chanting, and of course we'll talk more about this in the retreat. But Aindra Prabhu chanted 2 lakh. 64 times 2 every day. And he was a very fast chanter. Very fast. He would chant 64 rounds in 5 hours. An average of 12 rounds an hour, which is about 4 to 5 minutes a round. He finished 2 lakh in 9 hours. So Aindra Prabhu would start chanting his japa at 5 o'clock in the morning and chant straight up to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 5 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, and no prasadam in the middle. No water or no prasadam. As we were saying the other day. 3 bar bhojan, भजन एक बार, उसमें भी आए अड़चन हजार. But Aindra Prabhu chanted 9 hours of japa till 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, Aindra Prabhu would go to sleep. And he would wake up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's 4 hours of sleep in the afternoon. And mind you, that's the only 4 hours he sleeps. No sleep at night. We're coming to that. 1 to 5 in the afternoon. 5 o'clock, Aindra Prabhu would clean all the toilets in the Brahmachari ashram. Now here's the interesting thing. He was so humble. Our Prabhu introduced me with humility, but I was thinking at that time, the true humility comes here. Prabhupada disciple, Namacharya, 24-hour Kirtan, founder. 1 hour every day, Aindra Prabhu would clean the Brahmachari public toilets. And you can imagine, there are public toilets in Uttar Pradesh. 1 hour of public toilet, Brahmachari toilet cleaning. And when devotees would tell Aindra Prabhu, you are Prabhupada disciple, why are you cleaning the toilet? He would say, my spiritual master has given me this property, ISKCON. And it is the duty of the son and the disciple to keep his father's property clean. In fact, Aindra Prabhu, anyone who wanted to join the 24-hour Kirtan, he would put them through the bathroom test. Anyone who wants to join, bathroom test. 6 months they have to clean the bathroom to prove that they really want to join the 24-hour Kirtan. And after 1 hour of cleaning the bathroom, he would clean. Sometimes devotees would come and ask him, Prabhu, why are you cleaning? Aindra Prabhu would say, isn't the toilet part of the temple? Isn't the temple part of Vrindavan? I am doing Dham Seva. I am cleaning Vrindavan Dham. And he had answers. He would sit with acid and each tile. So much humility. Pranadapi sunichena. And then 6 o'clock, Aindra Prabhu would go down to do his kirtan. 6 to 7, the temple would go up and down. The pillars would literally shake when he would chant Krishna Nam. And very strict kirtan standards. Aindra Prabhu would say, anyone who's not chanting a 16 round should not lead the kirtan. He would say, if you have not chanted your 16 for the day, Krishna is not interested in hearing your kirtan. Only sense gratificatory kirtan. And he had big words he would use, Kali Chela Kirtan and things like that. But even when Aindra Prabhu would do kirtan, sometimes, in Vrindavan, the Gurukuli boys would try to talk to the girls in the middle of the kirtan and things like that. And he didn't like it. Absolutely no. One devotee, one boy in Aindra Prabhu's kirtan, he was, Kartal, and he was talking to, his fiancée or someone. Aindra Prabhu got wild. In the middle of the kirtan and the microphone, he yelled at him. And he said, this kirtan is for the pleasure of Radha Shama Sundar, not so that you can get your fiancé, please. And he would say, kirtan is not there to just sit there and look pretty. It is an attempt to call out for Krishna's mercy. Very high standards. And after 7 o'clock, in his schedule, he would come to his room, and it would take about 45 minutes from the temple hall to his room because people would flock with questions. 7:45 to 9:45, Aindra Prabhu would give time for devotees, for sadhu sangha. They would ask questions and he would go back and forth, answering. And at 9:45, Aindra Prabhu would start his deity worship for the day. Please note, these are very exalted standards of a great soul. Please don't try this at home. We want Anusharana, not Anukarana. We want to take shelter and not imitate. 9:45, he would start his deity worship. Nitai Shachi Sutta, 3,000 shaligrams. All of them bathing, oiling, dressing, cooking. He would cook 32 items every day for his deities. All the Matajis. He was an expert cook. He knew everything. 9:45 to 4:15, Aindra Prabhu did deity worship. How many hours is that? 6.5 hours. 9:45 to 4:15. And in those 6.5 hours, Aindra Prabhu would take his time with his deities. Very peacefully cook for them. Bathe all his Shrilas. Now the point is, does he do it alone? No. He would have one devotee sit there and read Prabhupada's books throughout. So 6 hours, 1 hour per devotee. So 6 devotees every night would serve Aindra Prabhu by reading Shastra for him. And this is the only time he would get to hear Prabhupada's books. And by doing that for 24 years, passages after passages of Srimad Bhagavatam were memorized. And he would say, no, in the 11th canto, in this chapter, it is said like this. Because he had heard it over and over again. And at 4:15, he would come out with 3 plates of Nitai Shachi Sutta Mahaprasad. For whom? Interesting question. 24-hour kirtan goes on, right? Initially, Aindra Prabhu did it alone, but then later with time, more boys came in. So they would have shifts from 4 to 7 in the evening, 7 to 10 at night, 10 to 1 at night, 1 to 4 in the morning, and then the same shift again. 32 different devotees sitting together and doing. The most difficult slot out of that is not 10 to 1 at night, because 10 to 1 you can do, 1 o'clock you can go to sleep, and they are exempted from Mangalarti. So they can sleep like all till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever. But the difficult slot is 1 to 4. You have to really battle sleep, and then you have to attend Mangalarti and then go. So not many devotees came up for that. So Aindra Prabhu would come up at 4:15 out of his room with plates, inspiring those who are ready to do that shift. They will get the Mahaprasad of Nitai Shachi Sutta that Aindra Prabhu has cooked. So now devotees became desirous. I want that Maha, and they would take that slot. And Aindra Prabhu would come out of his room giving that Maha. After feeding them at 4:30, Aindra Prabhu would have his first morsel of the day. And then go for Mangalarti, and 5 o'clock start chanting his japa for the next day. Did everyone catch the schedule? Yes. This is how God intoxicated he was. Krishna conscious. 100%. Look at his Nitai Shachi Sutta. Very beautiful, right? There are interesting stories how he got them also. Next time when I come to Melbourne, I'll tell you. How he got them. But it's interesting, many beautiful pastimes. Nitai and Shachi Sutta. He really liked them a lot. In 2009, Aindra Prabhu wrote a personal letter to his Nitai Shachi Sutta. He told in that letter, "O Shachi Sutta, O honey-faced, golden-complexioned dancing lord of my life, please promise me you will never leave me through thick and thin. I have surrendered my life at your lotus feet. I promise, death and beyond, I will be at your feet serving you. And you kindly promise me that you will also work towards our friendship. Please promise you will never leave me, and I promise I will never leave you. And in this way, you stay for me and I will stay for you." This was a personal letter which was revealed after he departed from this world. This is how much he loved his deities. That's Aindra Prabhu serving them many years ago. Aindra Prabhu had an interesting outfit. Just so that we get a sense of it. That's not the right adjective, but just so that we get a sense of it. It was almost like those Flintstones. You've seen? There used to be a cartoon called Flintstones. That's almost like the Flintstone outfit. And he would always be in that outfit. One cloth. There used to be a kopin, and there's one cloth from his knee upward. That's all. And in winter, he would have more shawls on the top. So Aindra Prabhu's vrat was he would never wear stitched cloth. Ever. Because he would say it is too foreign. He would say Vedic principle means clean cloth, without cut, without stitch. He said this stitching and all this nonsense was brought by the British. That's too Western for a Brijbasi, he would say. Aindra Prabhu had written another interesting letter which was revealed later after his departure. Aindra Prabhu had written a letter to Radharani. "Oh Radharani, please never ever ever banish me out of the land of Braj. Please never banish me to make me a queen of Dwarka. Please never banish me to make me a Lakshmi of Vaikuntha. Please never even banish me as one of the women of Mathura. I eternally aspire to be in Vrindavan. And then he said, I wholeheartedly reject the proposal of being Krishna's queen in Dwarka, to aspire to even become a worm in the stool of a pig, but in Braj. This is Dham Nishta. Never moved from there. Okay, I'll tell you an interesting Nitai Shachi Sutta pastime. Aindra Prabhu, because of that heat, I told you he got prickly heat on his back, and devotees would tell him always put a fan or something, a cooler. Cooler was very prominent in those days. You just fill some water and put some ice cubes, and then you get all that, till the time it melts, and then you again put some ice cubes. He never agreed. He said, Prabhupada says that the 6 Goswamis lived with austerity in Vrindavan, and that's how I want to live, no fans. But you know what happened? One fine day when one devotee was in Aindra Prabhu's room dressing Aindra Prabhu's deities, Aindra Prabhu was outside the room, he looked at Nitai Shachi Sutta, and on the back of Nitai Shachi Sutta, they had developed heat boils. The deity. Wooden deities. Prickly heat on the back. Inconceivable? Yes, it is. They came and told Aindra Prabhu. Aindra Prabhu came and saw that evening there was a split AC in the room installed above the altar. But the condition was, the AC would be on when Aindra Prabhu would leave the room. And as soon as he would enter, he would switch it off. So he takes no partake in that AC. It's exclusively for Nitai Shachi Sutta. Even as far as Shaligrams are concerned, he was so attached. All these Shaligrams, how did they come to him? They would find him on the power of his devotion. He never went out searching for Shilas. Aindra Prabhu would chant with so much intensity that devotees would come with bags. Prabhu, I have 108 Shilas. I'm not able to take care of them. Please, you accept. Prabhu, these are 500 Shilas. Please accept. Prabhu, this is 110 Shilas. Please accept. And he would say, Shilas, Krishnas who are coming to me, I will never reject. And in this way, he had 3,000 Shilas. According to Shila worship, it's a very interesting thing. According to Shila worship, you never worship Shilas which are cracked or who have a surface which is a little rough. You generally worship Shilas who are smooth, because it's described if you worship Shaligram Shilas, sacred stone which are smooth, you become happy. But if you worship those which are cracked and rough, you become sad. So Aindra Prabhu got to know this. Someone came to Aindra Prabhu and said, you have these Shilas which are faulty. Please don't worship them. They will bring in distress. Aindra Prabhu smiled. And he said, if I can't learn to accept Krishna with his faults, how can he learn to accept me with my faults? He said, if I reject a Shila because he's faulty, Krishna has every reason to reject me. I will accept him, even if that means distress in my life. Isn't that amazing? Amazing surrender. No doubt about it. Look at Aindra Prabhu's Radharani. Here's interesting, another Shaligram Srila pastime. Aindra Prabhu didn't have a Krishna deity. He had a Radharani deity. So somebody would ask Aindra Prabhu, why is it that there is no Krishna on the altar? You have one Radharani and 3,000 Shaligrams. Aindra Prabhu would smile and he would say, my Radharani is so special, she has 3,000 Krishnas to pick from. She has 3,000 Krishnas at her feet and she can pick the Krishna that she likes from the Shaligrams. Another devotee asked Aindra Prabhu, one Shila is enough to give prema, Krishna prema. Why do you need 3,000 Shilas? Aindra Prabhu said, I want to give Krishna 3,000 reasons to accept me. If I worship one Shila, I am giving him only one reason. But I want to give him 3,000 reasons to worship me. So in this way, there were so many beautiful aspects of Aindra Prabhu's pastimes. But however, since time is running, I want to come to the final section of his life. That is his departure. Do you see that picture to the right? Here? Do you see that? The picture to the right? What do you think that is? Huh? That's a fridge. Yes. And do you see how he has made a fridge? He has made a fridge with cow dung and cow urine with eyes, nose and mouth. You know why? He would say, in Vrindavan, everything is animate. He would say in Vrindavan, if Mother Yashoda's Padmakanda milk can think, well, my fridge can talk. And he would make mouth and nose and, it was very funny also. He had put his philosophy to 100% application. In Aindra Prabhu's room, he had a wall clock without hands. No seconds hand, no minutes hand, no hours hand, nothing. Just a wall clock. He said, what is this? He said, in Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, there is no effect of time. Also, he would say, if there are hands, he said, if there are hands, then there is a start time and end time for seva. But at the lotus feet of Krishna, I have surrendered myself. So I pluck the eyes out, the hands out. Seva continues forever. To the left here, do you see that tree in the middle of the room? That's a tamal tree. That's a tamal tree. A dead tamal tree. Acha, why is a dead tamal tree right there? Aindra Prabhu read in Vrindavan Mahimamrita, anyone who worships a tamal tree of Vrindavan gets Krishna. Guess what he did? He got in a dead tamal tree into his room and he would do parikrama every day. And he would say, people take 3 dandi sannyas, I have taken 3 dandi sannyas. I have a tree in my room. This was his room. Look at the artistry right there. Do you see? Such beautiful work. This is the work that Aindra Prabhu did it with his own hands. With cow dung. Look at all that. And this is the wall on the Gurukul building, as the Brahmachari ashram, as you get up to his room. So from the entrance of the ashram to his room was like an adventure on both sides. He had not just renovated his room, he had renovated the whole approach towards his room. Look at this. This was Aindra Prabhu. Do you like it? And he would teach Brajbasi Prabhujis and Matajis how to do it. Keep hand like this and this is the shape. He would do that. And another thing with Aindra Prabhu was he always chanted the holy name. All the time. You could never see his hand out of his bead bag. All the time. His hands were either serving Radha Shamasundar deities, or massaging his shilas, or on the harmonium, or chanting the holy name. Even when he did all this, he did it with his left hand, by the way. Right hand in the bead bag. There are pictures where Aindra Prabhu did this with bead bag in his hand. He would chant constantly. Now, as I promised, I'll get you to the most important episode in Aindra Prabhu's life. Aindra Prabhu chanted the holy name in Vrindavan for 24 years. 1986, the 24-hour kirtan he started is still on till this very day. It's been 33 consecutive years without a minute of stoppage. Can you imagine that? 33 years of Harinam continuously going on in Krishna Balaram Mandir, ISKCON Vrindavan without a stop, without a gap for a minute. This was Aindra Prabhu. 1986 he started, it's still on. And he was very strict, very, very strict. At night time, some Gurukuli boys would do the slot. So Aindra Prabhu would have a mic where they would sing and a speaker in his room. At night he would hear whether they are chanting or no. As he was massaging his shilas, he would hear. If the kirtan stops, he had a mic from his room which they could also hear. So one devotee recalls, he was with his friends and mosquitoes in Vrindavan, so odomas, they're all putting odomas and sitting and chanting. And there was like a minute, they're all relaxing, 30 seconds, they're talking. And Aindra Prabhu is massaging his Shilas. This is like 1:45 at night. And their mic, he has a speaker, his mic, they have a speaker. So mutually they hear. They're spacing out for like 20 seconds. They're talking in the middle of the kirtan. And in their mic they hear, Kirtan, Kirtan, rascals, Kirtan. He would chastise the boys. Hey, come on, what is this? And they would like, oh, Prabhu's listening, And he would laugh from there. Say, don't think you can trick me, I'm listening. And sometimes he would just walk down from his room and say, why the kirtan is not heard? Why is there spacing out? And sometimes through the keyhole he would see what they're doing. He kept up the 24-hour kirtan all day and night with his fire. But however, on 16th of July 2010, after 24 years of 24 hours of kirtan, unfortunately, please give me 5 minutes of your attention. This will change your life. On 16th of July 2010, there was a gas leak in his room. And amidst the gas leak, when he picked up a matchstick to serve his deities, he lit the matchstick and the room exploded. Aindra Prabhu in his room recorded his albums. So his room was a soundproof room. What happened outside couldn't be heard within. What happened inside wouldn't be heard outside. Some did hear something, and they also felt smoke. But they didn't take it seriously. They thought somebody is burning paper. But what happened? Next morning, it was Aindra Prabhu's service to dress Radha Shama Sundar in Vrindavan, main temple. Next day was Aindra Prabhu's service of dressing Radha Shama Sundar in the temple. And such an excellent dresser. He had a very specific way, trademark. Generally, devotees, when they dress the deities, they would put the garland like this for Krishna. Aindra Prabhu would put the garland like this, like a Brahmin thread. So any picture of Shama Sundar where you see the garland going like a Brahmin thread, that's dressed by Aindra Prabhu. That was his trademark. And people would wait. Because initial days, Aindra Prabhu would dress Radha Sham Sundar 7 days a week. But then when more pujaris came in, they put Aindra Prabhu for Saturday morning. So that's when all the Shilas came in to him. And he would say that I am missing the touch of the black body of Krishna that I would have every day. So these Shilas are coming to pacify my fire of separation so that I can touch the black body of the Shaligrams. Somebody asked Aindra Prabhu, how many Shilas can you have? And there was a tear that dropped from his eye, and he said, there's no limit how much blackishness I can have in my life. So Saturday morning used to be Aindra Prabhu's service. So devotees were waiting, and 7 o'clock, 7:30 the temple opens. Generally Aindra Prabhu comes and he's very fast. He gets Radha Sham Sundar dressed. But now it's already 6:30 in the morning, 6:45, and Aindra Prabhu is not there for a 7:30 open darshan. So Sanak Sanatan Prabhu, Adi Keshav Prabhu, other authorities of the temple, they found this sort of suspicious, Maybe Aindra Prabhu was tired after Kirtan, that he's resting, but that's unusual. He wouldn't do that. He would never miss his service 24 years that he lived. Never. No excuses. Always there for Krishna. So they knocked the door. They came to Aindra Prabhu's room and they knocked, and they were knocking for a long time. No response. They broke open the door, and the whole room was with black soot. And as they opened the door, it was like there's smoke all over the place. everything was burnt. And amidst the smoke, they were trying to call out to Aindra Prabhu, and he was not to be seen. As the smoke settled, they saw Nitai Shachi Sutta intact. These deities are made out of wood, by the way. They were intact. And they looked behind the deities. Aindra Prabhu had left his body offering obeisances to Nitai Shachi Sutta. Aindra Prabhu's hands were around the feet of Nityananda Prabhu. And rigor mortis had set in. They couldn't move the body. It took so much of effort to take every finger out of Aindra Prabhu's body from the feet of Nityananda Prabhu, even after his departure, while his head continued offering obeisances. How many of us bow down to Krishna while being alive? We can fake and impress the whole world as much as we can. But at the time of death, we speak our mother tongue. We speak what is inside. And when Yamaraj, the god of death, tested, Aindra Prabhu placed his lotus feet on the head of Yamaraj and jumped back home, back to Godhead. Amidst fire, amidst smoke, he went behind Nitai Shachi Sutta. Why? Because he tried to bang the door and it wouldn't open because it was soundproof. And because of the smoke, the doors had got jammed. He tried to open the window behind. It didn't open on time. By then the fire approached. What did he do? He bowed down, offered his obeisances to Gaur Nitai and left his body. Now here's an interesting thing that will blow your mind away. 2007, Aindra Prabhu was invited to Mayapur for a deity worship seminar. And at the end of the deity worship seminar, one pujari from Mayapur put his hand up and asked Aindra Prabhu, according to you, what is the qualification for someone to have deities? And in 2007, Aindra Prabhu said, Prabhu, if there is a fire in your room and if you cannot die protecting your deities, better don't have them. And Krishna thought of using the same example. And guess what? Aindra Prabhu passed the exam with flying colors. When we are taking the Arati lamp sometimes, right? We are holding the lamp going around in the temple. Sometimes it gets hot and we have to put it in a plate. We can't even hold a lamp from outside. And we are ready to drop it. Prabhus and Matajis, in comparison to this, we give excuses for not chanting our 16 rounds. We give our excuses for, oh, I've done enough, or I'm a great devotee. This example puts a mirror in front of our excuses. It puts to shame our qualification. What is the extent of our consciousness? We can't even do one thing for Krishna, and this is the life of a saint who lived all his life in Braj and left his body amidst fire, holding the feet of Krishna, amidst 3,000 Shaligram Shilas in the Brahmachari ashram of the ISKCON temple in the Dham of Radharani. These are the final remains of his lotus feet. You can mentally offer your obeisances. Do you see that the feet is this way? So his body was like this. He had offered his obeisances like this. So when they cremated, they put the body to the side, and that's how the feet is. You can imagine what I'm saying. This is how the body was. You can see the shape. Do you see the thighs there? And do you see the feet? This is how Prabhu left his body. And Nitai Shachi Sutta remained intact. Aindra Prabhu kept his word. Amidst thick and thin, I promise to keep our friendship. Krishna promised me you will never leave me, and I promise I will never leave you. Protecting his deities, Aindra Prabhu left his body. This was his final message. Please do more and more Harinam Sankirtan. Here are some interesting things I would like to tell you. You know, sometimes people would copy Aindra Prabhu's melodies, and they would come and tell him. Aindra Prabhu, by the way, composed more than 600 melodies of his own. Musical melodies. Most of the melodies that we sing today are Aindra Prabhu's composition. Like, for example, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That's Aindra Prabhu's composition. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Aindra Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Aindra Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Aindra Prabhu. So many of them. All of this, 600. So somebody came to Aindra Prabhu and said, some new Gurukuli, he came, he said, I can sing your melodies. And this is what Aindra Prabhu told him. He said, you can copy my melodies, but you can't copy my bhav. It was not a proud statement. It was honesty. This is Aindra Prabhu's message for all of us. Someone with a thundering voice from behind can... Jagannath Ram Prabhu, can you read loudly?
You can die anytime. When you chant your 16 rounds, you should think, this is my last chance to cry for mercy of Radha and Krishna. And when you come to the last round, you should think, this is my last chance to try to please Radha and Krishna. And when you come to the last mantra of the last round, chant in a way that they are convinced. And when you come to the last Hare, if Krishna didn't hear me with all these mantras, let me call Radharani like my last breath. And then we should chant another 16 rounds in that same mood.
This is Aindra Prabhu's instruction to all of us. You know? Look at him. When he would give Bhagavatam classes, it would go spanning 4 hours. He couldn't stop speaking about Krishna. The famous Radhashtami class where Aindra Prabhu spoke from Prema Samputa of Vishwanath Chakravarti, he's weeping. You can hear the recording. He's reading the text and he just breaks down, and all that you can hear on the microphone is just sobbing for minutes, and then he says, please forgive me, there's more. He couldn't stop speaking. And if some, and brahmacharis, of course, they had to, 9 o'clock they had to eat. So they would try to sneak out. And Aindra Prabhu would say, the class will continue a little longer. And if you think you have something better than this, then feel free to make your way out. And now who's going to move, because that's the most important thing. When Aindra Prabhu was told to sing Tulsi Aarti once, at 5:15 in the morning, he sang, and then after that, he started chanting Hare Krishna, after that, you sing. After Yani Kani Cha Papani, he closed his eyes and he started singing that Maha Mantra. Temple president had to come and tell Aindra Prabhu, Prabhu, please stop. It is 7:30. The curtains are about to open. Everyone skipped their japa session. You've been chanting for 2 hours, 15 minutes. He just lost track of time chanting the holy name. Please note, these are examples who convince us how wonderful the process is and how insignificant all of us are. Look at him. Aindra Prabhu would say, first chant and dance like a madman, then worry about saving the world. He would say, first you taste it yourself. If you don't taste it, and he would put it in a typical American accent of double negatives. They use double negatives sometimes. So he would say, if you ain't chanting Shuddha Naam, you ain't getting no Bhakti Shakti, you ain't giving no Bhakti Shakti. Which means if you don't taste the pure name, what are you going to share? You're bankrupt. That was Aindra Prabhu's principle. One Radhashtami, please forgive me, I'm speaking more, but it's almost, please forgive me. I know I'm going over time, but I can't stop. Please forgive me. One Radhashtami, one pastime, please. One Radhashtami, night, the temple was about to close at 9 o'clock and the kirtan continued. Aindra Prabhu's kirtan, rocking kirtan, like the temple's shaking with Krishna Naam. And this was about to close at 9 o'clock. And they opened it again because he was doing kirtan. And after 10 minutes, they about went to close again. And then when it went to close, he would pick up the kirtan. And they couldn't stop. The pujaris would open again for darshan, Radharani darshan, because Radhashtami night. And then again, after 10 minutes, they were about to close. And again, the kirtan would pick up. Again, they opened. This happened 3-4 times. And then it closed, not to open again. His kirtan just went on, rocking to beseech Radharani, please show darshan. Then the temple commander came and said, Prabhu, you have to now quieten down because they have to sleep. Aindra Prabhu said, they don't sleep. They have Nitya Leela. Now is the time for Rasa Leela. And Rasa Leela means singing and dancing. Prabhu, Haribol. And the kirtan rocked from there again. He said, Chalo, you have to continue like this. So that's the picture. That's Aindra Prabhu. This is Aindra Prabhu at Govardhan. He had special love for Giriraj. Please note, there is a purpose why I went ahead to his departure and then I'm coming back. Because I don't want you to go home crying. So I mentioned it and then I'm going back to know so that you have smile as you go home. This is Aindra Prabhu's dear Giriraj. Of course, at Vrindavan. Look at him. He looks like a Brijbasi, right? Doesn't look like from America. And he would have this beard during Chaturmas. The Shastra says you should have a beard. You know why? So that you should chant the holy name and serve Krishna so much that you have no time to do it. Not that you do it for some fashion and doing only 16 rounds. Therefore, Prabhupada said, be realistic and shave. But he literally lived that life. 2 lakh, 3 lakh. Chaturmas, Aindra Prabhu would chant 3 lakh, 192 every day. He was like sky high. His sadhana, look at his hair and his beard. It was like fire coming out. Even on his back, like red hair all over. It's like Narasimhadev. So much fire, so much desire to get Krishna. So much. Look at those eyes, like searching all the time. Really very exalted. And by the way, now it's an interesting point. He would take his Giriraj, his little Giriraj, and place on that Giriraj. This is the main Giriraj hill. He would take his little Giriraj Shila and place there and do parikrama and then come back and take his Shila. Somebody would say, what are you doing? He said, once a year, I charge him. He said, when I worship Giriraj, maybe he gets sad and he's discharged his mercy. So now I go and charge him once a year. So then I can worship him and he's ready to give more mercy. He had an interesting mood like that. And this is, of course, part of the painting that Aindra Prabhu was expert in. Also, Aindra Prabhu always had a Giriraj Shila on his chest. All the time. He had a Giriraj Shila in a nice box on his chest. Every time, whenever he was little Giriraj. And for all the problems, he had only one medicine. One specific pill, that's all. He didn't know any other medicine. And he loved the pharmaceutical company by the name Cipla. For those who know, Ranbaxy, Cipla and so on and so forth. So he loved Cipla. Whatever he wants, only Cipla. He would say Cipla, only Cipla. So once he had contracted conjunctivitis, so he needed Cipla eye drops. So they got Cipla eye drops. He opened up the box, put the eye drops on Giriraj's eyes. They said, what are you doing? He smiled and he said, I don't take even eye drops before offering it to Krishna. Not that we copy that with our deity, but it's a very sweet mood that he had. He said, I don't even take eye drops without offering it to Krishna. He said, he's my partner in crime, so he shares everything with me. So that's That's Aindra Prabhu. His very dear shoes. By the way, do you see that traveling harmonium that's used these days?
Yes.
That was designed by Aindra Prabhu. That's there to the right. Do you see that? Just next to the dhoti of that brahmachari. You have that cloth. That's Aindra Prabhu's harmonium. That's the tamal tree that he worshipped. Aindra Prabhu's picture, his dear slippers, and that small kumbha that you see are the ashes from his body. Shripad Aindra Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Gaur Premanande. All the 24-hour kirtans that go on these days, all the kirtan melas that go on these days, all the big kirtan fests that go on these days, they've all started by Aindra Prabhu's inspiration. All the melodies that we sing, all the different mridanga beats. Aindra Prabhu's biggest contribution has been sitting in one tile of Vrindavan and spreading the holy name worldwide. He proved it to people that being in Vrindavan you can preach. That was his mood. And most of the youth in ISKCON these days may not be interested in any other limb but Kirtan. And that was Aindra Prabhu's gift to Prabhupada of attracting the next generation. So, my request to everyone is, please hear Aindra Prabhu's Kirtans. They are available on ISKCON Desire Tree and on YouTube. You can hear them. A disclaimer is, please don't hear his classes because they are meant for experienced devotees. Those who are initiated, Brahmanically initiated for a few years, they can understand. But for others, Kirtan is a very wonderful way to connect with Aindra Prabhu. Second, if you feel connected with him, you can keep his pictures in your house to inspire you how there is a person who was not born in Vrindavan but lived in Vrindavan and left his body in Vrindavan and lived his life in sacrifice. At the age of 57, Aindra Prabhu departed after 24 hours of Kirtan in Vrindavan. So even if you want to make your kids Krishna conscious, if they love Aindra Prabhu, half the job is done. Personally, in my life and my brother's life, out of many other factors, I want to make a very honest confession. My brother and myself, we never saw Aindra Prabhu. And this has been the biggest regret in our life. We know we can never go back in time and see him. Even if you go to Goloka Vrindavan, we will see him maybe as a gopi or, a female associate of Radharani. But that Aindra Prabhu with that one-piece cloth and, his beard and his sharp shooting eyes and sitting in Vrindavan roaring like a lion, na bhuto na bhavishyati. Not possible. So in our life, when we got to know about Aindra Prabhu after his departure, we became in some ways devoted to him, with his pictures on our altar, praying to him, chanting his melodies, trying to follow his mood of japa and kirtan, and speaking about Aindra Prabhu. And I can tell you, if you speak about someone who gave his life for Krishna, you have Krishna in your pocket. It's very difficult to become a devotee. But if you love someone who left his body for Krishna, Krishna is there, right there, next to you. We may not deserve it, but guess what? Krishna takes interest in us because now we are taking interest in someone who was interested in him. If we want to increase our taste in the holy name, we remember, speak, hear, chant and share the glories of someone who was attached to the holy name. Shripad Aindra Prabhu ki Jai. Unadulterated, unmotivated, uninterrupted, selfless, transcendental, loving devotional service ki jai. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Something just almost here. Aindra Prabhu in his Prem Dhwani, he would say, Jayom Vishnupad, etc., etc. And towards the end he would say, back home, back to Godhead ki. Sooner the better ki. No more wasting time in the human form ki. He would say all this. He would say all this, really firing everyone up. So